Howdy folks, this is Big Sam. I wanted to make a quick video today to give y'all some pointers and a little bit of info on what I do when it comes to cleaning your Mosin Nagant rifle. Now I want to give a quick shout out to Jared B, who sent me an email, and I owe you another response to one of your questions, so you can expect that to come soon. I apologize. I am a very busy person and sometimes I get behind with my emails. So if ever y'all send me an email and you don't hear back from me for a week or two, just send me another one and hopefully I'll get back with you. So thank you for your patience. But anyway, Jared B had a great question in regards to cleaning his Mosin Nagant rifle. Basically what he was wondering, and I wanted to make this video because I think a lot of people are in the same boat, is you know, you spend your hard-earned money on finally getting your Mosin Nagant rifle. And the next question is, well, how do I clean this? Because I could go the route of getting a really nice cleaning setup, but do I really want to shell out the extra cash in order to do that? Or can I just use the standard, cleaning rod that it comes with, and then maybe buy a really cheap surplus cleaning kit? Well, I'm going to give you my 2 cents on that question. Now, what I would do in this scenario is just wait until you can get enough money to get a decent setup. And here's why. You can use the standard cleaning rod. You still have to find a whole other set of like brushes and whatnot that can attach and actually thread into whatever it is you're trying to do. And this is one of the issues that Jared was actually running into, was he's got these different attachments for different things, and maybe he was wondering, was one Chinese and one's Russian, because it seems like they don't quite work together. And that kind of brings up a whole other set of issues. And so what actually happens is you can end up spending quite a lot of money buying various things just to get what you already have to begin with working. And if you're going to do that anyway, you might as well invest in something that you know is going to work, especially because once you make that initial investment for good cleaning supplies, you can use it throughout all your other guns that you're going to end up buying, right? So if you get a good setup for cleaning initially, you can hopefully use that for all of your guns. You don't have to buy a whole new cleaning setup every time you buy another rifle. And that's assuming you're going to buy more Mosin Nagants, which is probably correct, because if you already have one, the chances are you either have or are about to catch the legendary Mosin virus. But anyway, this kind of brings up another question of, well, can I in fact use the standard like steel cleaning rod without, let's say, damaging the rifling or damaging the crown of the rifle? Is that a good thing to do? This is another thing I want to briefly cover in this video. Now, you can do that. If you use that, once or twice or 10 times, you're probably not going to really do a whole lot to the rifle. But that being said, these rifles are old and they're really important parts of history. So ultimately, if you were going to use a steel brush or a steel cleaning rod through your rifling a whole bunch of times, eventually it is going to start impacting that, and it's going to cause some wear. It's going to induce some wear. So it's just not worth it to me to do it. That's why I love the new modern cleaning techniques. What I do is I get a carbon fiber cleaning rod. Now that sounds really expensive, but they're actually not that bad. In fact, you can go on Amazon and get one for like $40. They're very common. If you're not familiar with them, it does sound a little bit of this newfangled high-tech wizardry, but it's really common these days. So this is sort of like the new normal. And carbon fiber is great because it's not gonna, impose any wear on your rifling or your muzzle crown or anything like that. But that's just the rod, right? Something has to thread on top of the rod. And this is why, in addition to that, you need to get a good set of brushes. Now, the brushes, those are sort of, depending on how dirty your rifle is, They can be only good for a few uses. Typically, I will go through one brush per rifle, but that's because a lot of the rifles I have to clean are really dirty and maybe haven't even been cleaned in the last 80 years since, let's say, the Finnish Winter War or World War I even, which would be pretty terrible if that was the case. But regardless, they get pretty dirty and the brushes wear out pretty fast. So you do have to buy a lot of brushes depending on how dirty your gun is, but it's really not that bad. And again, it's worth it to keep your rifle clean and ready to go and to help preserve it for future generations and for your children and hopefully your grandchildren. It's worth it. I mean, if you have to buy a set of brushes for like, $10 or $20, it's not that big of a deal because you're not going to have to do that every week, okay? So don't worry too much about that. Now, when it comes to brushes, you definitely want to get either brass or bronze. For our purposes today, it's basically the same thing, but you want to get one that's full brass or full bronze. So you want the whole stem to be brass or bronze, and then the bristles to be brass or bronze. So no steel in the brush itself. So you have a carbon fiber cleaning rod with a brass end for your brush. And that's great because, again, you're not going to damage the gun at all using that. All of that, the brass, the bronze, the carbon fiber, it's all a lot softer than the steel that comprises your barrel. So it's just great. You should be able to clean your rifle without having to worry about, damaging it. And that's why I highly recommend this setup or a similar setup. There's other good setups, but I like this one because it's going to do its job. It's going to help clean your rifle, and you don't have to worry about putting more wear on the gun than you need to. Using this setup, your gun's going to last for probably a lot longer than you are if you take care of it. So again, that's why I highly recommend a decent setup like that. Again, we're not talking about more than, let's say $40 or $50 for a carbon fiber rod, and then a good set of brushes might only set you back, hopefully not more than $20. So we shouldn't even be looking at $100 here to get a good cleaning setup. Is it worth it? Absolutely. Now, let's say you shot your rifle or your rifle's dirty, is it okay to wait to clean your rifle until you can maybe get the cash set aside to go buy those items to clean your rifle? Yeah, probably. Really the only thing I would say about that is if you shoot corrosive ammo through your gun, or if you live in a particularly humid environment where there's probably going to have some rust forming in your barrel. In cases like that, if you do have, like a steel cleaning rod laying around or something that you can at least clean the bore with, it might be worth it to that once, just because, again, those corrosive salts from the primers, they will eat away your bore. And so at that point, you're looking at the lesser of two evils. And actually, no matter what you have on hand, it probably is going to be better to clean your rifling than to just let it sit there with having all those corrosive salts eating away on the inside of your barrel. That's not really ideal. And if you live in humid environments, even if you don't have a good cleaning setup as far as like a cleaning rod goes, just make sure it's well lubricated. Anything from ballistol to any sort of bore solvent, as long as there's some sort of oil in there that's going to lubricate the steel on the inside of your barrel, you're good to go. And ballistol, again, is really good for cleaning corrosive salt. So if you do shoot, surplus corrosive ammo, what I like to do is I like to get a bottle of water that has one of those little squeeze caps at the end. And then I take off the cap and then I'll fill it the ratio I've heard that's good is about 90% water, 10% ballistol. And then what's great is you can put the cap back on and then you can just shake it all around. I mean, I don't know how well it mixes because I think ballistol is oil, but yeah, you get the point. And then once you're ready, you can take off the little, like the tip, like, the squeezed water bottles where they'll have the little tip that you can pop up at the end and then you can squeeze it, kind of like Gatorade. I think Gatorade has something similar like the football players have where they'll squeeze them like that. kind of the same thing. And then that way you can just squeeze it down your barrel. It works okay if you don't have like some sort of nice funnel, if you're just at the range or something. Definitely good to do, especially if you live like in, I don't know, southern Texas, for instance. It's really humid and you're shooting corrosive ammo. You definitely want to get some ballistol or something similar down your barrel while you're still at the range, so you don't have to worry about those corrosive salts eating away at your barrel, because in a really humid environment particularly, it's going to happen a lot quicker than you would probably expect. So we kind of covered a lot today, but hopefully that answers your question. If you had any, especially you, Jared, and I want to thank you for your email. Again, my recommendation is if you have a Mosin, you should clean it, and the way to do it is to get a decent setup. And if you're interested, I'll put some links in the description of a setup that I'll recommend, and hopefully it's not going to break your budget. But again, even if it does, it's definitely worth saving up for. Instead of maybe going out and buying another rifle, it's good to have that initial foundation there for being able to clean your rifles before you start going and buying a whole bunch of them. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully this was some useful information. If you like more Mosin Nagant content, please consider subscribing and hit the bell so you don't miss an episode. And let me know if y'all got any prayer requests, and we'll see you next time.